Welcome to the Stories That Sparkle. I'm Hella Rader, and in today's episode, I sit down with Holly, and we have a wonderful, super fun conversation about her journey opening up with her business partner, Bonnie, Winchester Brew Works, a brewery here in Winchester, Virginia. At the time, the only women-owned and women brewery. So, wow. That's pretty cool. Anyway, we also veer off topic dramatically in the middle of that because Holly drops a bomb on me. And I'm like, wait, we need to talk about that now. I need to hear more about that. So listen in to find out what that's all about. The big takeaway for me from this conversation, once again, is community, 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 and how we can build it, how we can create space for it, and how we can open the doors to a sense of belonging for others. So, wow. Yeah. Really exciting, really fun. Holly is a blast. So I invite you to get comfortable, sit back, and listen in. I'm Hella Rader. With a good sense of humor, an open heart, and an open mind, I love to explore the very human complexities in others and in myself. That's why I created a space for women you have never heard of and could easily pass on the street to share in their own voices the intricacies of starting over in life, building community, inhabiting their bodies, and more. Welcome to our Disco Ball, the stories that sparkle. Well, hi, Holly.
Hi, Hella.
Welcome to the sunrobe.
Thanks. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It's very sunny today, y'all. So we've got some disco ball action happening.
Yeah.
You know, I realized I know you. I've been around you.
Yeah.
We've been at things together. I've been at your place of business and for all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I don't actually know you. And I'm like, that needs to change. So we'll start by doing a podcast together. How about that?
I love this. This is great for me. Just jump right in.
So that's how we're going to get to know each other. Okay, excellent. So, so as I mentioned, you have a business. Mm-hmm. It's a brewery.
It's a brewery, yes.
So can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so it's a brewery in Old Town Winchester, just off the Walking Mall downtown. Giant space, like a huge tasting room, 4,000 square feet of open space that we've gradually decorated through the years as we've made any money. And then our brew house is super small. We're one of the smaller breweries in town. So we do like 100 gallons each batch. We're brewing today. So there's a porter being brewed that's delicious. So we've been open. It's 9.5 years. So our 10-year will be in May.
Oh, wow. Are we going to have a big party?
Oh, yeah. We're having a big party.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Just
First, I got to come up with a good theme.
Got it.
But yeah. We're going to throw down.
Okay. Okay, so how does that even happen? Like, what did you wake up to one day and say, I want a brewery? Like, what happened? How did this happen? Okay.
Like, looking back, it was wild. So my husband, before we got married, he moved to Virginia. We met and lived in North Carolina for a while, and he got a job in Virginia, moved up here to the Harrisonburg area and met some really good friends. One of them is my now business partner and her husband. And we just spent a lot of time together. We got to know each other. We got married. I moved to Virginia as well. Spent a lot of time. This couple, their names are Bonnie and Jeff, who I'm sure you've met them. Mm-hmm. And we would homebrew together for fun and drink craft beer and brewery hop and just had fun. And my husband and Bonnie are engineers. So they're super sciencey and have good jobs that pay them real money. And then one day Bonnie was like, hey, I was thinking, I want to open a brewery with you. And I was like, No, this sounds terrible. Like, I love you so much. We're really good friends, but I don't know you that well. And I've only been here for I think at that point we had been married maybe 2 years. And I was like, I don't know.
And were you in Harrisonburg at this point?
We were still living in Harrisonburg.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And all of us were in Harrisonburg at the time.
Okay.
And we started thinking about Harrisonburg as a location for a brewery. Like, we were kind of exploring our options, and there were so many breweries down there already at the time. Because this was, I don't know, 12 years ago probably. Right. But yeah, she mentioned it and I was like, No. What? She was like, oh, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I have that entrepreneurial spirit and I'm tired of being an engineer and working for the man. And I think we should do this. And I was like, again, this sounds truly awful.
It's a terrible idea.
It's such a risk, right?
Right.
And then somehow here we are 10 years later with a brewery. So I blame Bonnie.
I blame her.
Honestly.
Yeah. It's her fault.
Yeah.
So, okay. So then what's that?
Yeah.
I mean, how the hell do you even figure that out?
Good question. So I think we're still figuring it out. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. So we started by, like I said, we were in Harrisonburg. So we started by exploring like locations out there, speaking with other brewery owners that we had met through the years. Like we were regulars at some of the little craft breweries down there, talking to them about kind of their do's and don'ts, what they learned through the process, and really just kind of exploring our options. Is it viable? Like how much money do we even have to put into? I mean, we've been working in real jobs for not that long.
Yeah. What were you doing?
So wildly enough,
Career-wise.
I was working at a pharmaceutical company as well in North Carolina, not as an engineer. And then when we moved to Virginia, I became a contractor. And so I was really flexible. I was like, sure, I'm paid by the hour, like whatever, I can dedicate some extra time to this. But like I said, we had home brewed, but big time brewing is way different. And being a brewer is one thing. Owning a business is wildly different. And very small amount of our day-to-day work is brewing and beer. I mean, like that's what makes us money, but we spend so much time doing everything else. So yeah, we started just exploring the viability again, like running numbers. How much money do we have without emptying our retirement funds? And none of us had equity. Like we each owned a house for a year. I mean, there was nothing to put into it.
Right.
And then Bonnie's husband, Jeff, was going to school at Shenandoah University for physical therapy. And so we started coming up to the Winchester area. We came up for Apple Blossom. We came up to watch him do his presentations that he was doing for graduate school and that kind of thing. Spending some time up here, no breweries in Winchester at this time. So we were like, this is a cute town. They have craft beer locations. They have Union Jacks with craft beer, and 50/50 was opening, and Hot Blossom Craft Beer Festival was happening, but there was no brewery. And we were like, oh, maybe this is like the target audience if we want to move through with it. And we came and stayed for a long weekend in Winchester, rented a cheap hotel near Lido Pizza. And,
oh my God, I love this.
And spent the weekend, like a long weekend, just visiting some of the locations downtown, introducing ourselves to people around, trying to see if there was even a market for craft beer in the area, like a microbrewery down here. And I mean, our process was at least 2 years long.
Wow. That's some great due diligence.
It was a lot. It was so much of my life. So, cause we started looking at this, I think we officially incorporated ourselves in 2014, July of 2014. We like paid the $60 to have somebody incorporate us. And then we did not open until 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
It was so much work. So we spent so much time like doing the business plan. Bonnie is so good with numbers. So we were like, here, figure out the financial side of it. Like, see how much money we think we can potentially rake in doing this venture and how much we're going to have to spend. And I did a lot of the competition research and helped write the mission statement and like all the stuff that goes into a business plan. And we felt really good about our plan, but we still didn't have money,
right?
Which, you need a lot of to open, to do anything, right?
Yeah, really, to start up anything,
right?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
And we weren't looking to buy a location. So we knew we were going to rent something because we certainly didn't want to take out hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans. So we started kind of bank shopping and getting a lot of pushback from banks. We started with the big guys and they were like, oh, your business plan is so well thought out. You've really thought of everything. We're so impressed. Sorry, we can't help you.
Never
we
mind.
don't even need that much money, but we do need some to get started. And we spent a lot of time with the local SBA in the Harrisonburg area, the Small Business Administration.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they have a really great program. I mean, everywhere. We have one here in Winchester as well, but the one in Harrisonburg, we spent a lot of time with going through the business plan. They were so impressed. And the suggestion was to go with another kind of smaller bank. They have several locations. I don't know if they're local to just Winchester area, and went to this bank and they put great faith in us and loaned us some money. And we signed on some dotted lines and
dang. Now you have this loan.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that feel like?
So not great, but it wasn't huge. I can't even remember the dollar amount, but it was like less than $100,000. I mean, around about. It was like nothing insane. I mean, it was to us.
Right. Well,
Like, oh
yeah, I
God,
mean,
we're
that would
super on the
freak
hook.
me out.
And it
Yeah.
was nerve wracking because we didn't have a history, because we weren't a franchise or something like that. We were on the hook, right? Like if we couldn't pay our
Right.
loan that month, we personally have to pay it because we're a pass through LLC. So that was nerve wracking, but our monthly payments were low enough that we were like, if we fail, we fail, but we can individually, the two couples, we split the business 50-50, we can swing it. But it was scary. And of course you plan for your opening date. I think we opened like 8 months after
Right.
we hoped. And so you've really exhausted all of your capital that you started with by then. It was terrifying, but we soft opened March 2016. So just under 2 years after signing the LLC paperwork. And I think at least a year after signing the lease for the property that we're on.
Wow. So by this point, are you living in Winchester or still? So how?
Oh, hella. So just so many things happening all at once. Because my business partner, Jeff, was going to school at Shenandoah University, he was up here a lot, but they still owned a townhome in Harrisonburg as well. So I want to say it was the summer before we opened. So about a year before we opened, they ended up renting a house downtown because Bonnie had quit her job. I had quit my job, but we owned a house and weren't quite ready to sell it since my husband still worked down there and stuff. So I was commuting back and forth during the build out. I stayed at Bonnie's house a lot. And then my in-laws bought a house in Berryville. So I just like moved in with my in-laws for a while. It feels like a fever dream when I look back at it.
Right.
Because not only did I live in Harrisonburg, try to open up a brewery in Winchester with, this other couple who I know pretty well, but this is a huge commitment and risk we're taking with this couple.
Like getting married.
Yeah. And then Bonnie had quit her job, so she has no income. Her husband is in school. He has no income. We're like a one income business.
Oh my
with
God.
Just my husband. It was a lot. And I got pregnant. So we're doing the build out, or I think we're like planning. And I remember sitting in the car with Bonnie and being like, I have something to tell you. I'm also going to have a baby like right around the time we opened. So we just like to do everything all at once. So we did live in Harrisonburg for a long time. We didn't buy a house in Winchester area for a couple of years. I want to say 2018. Something like that is when we moved finally.
Wow. So what was that like in terms of, I didn't realize this was that new. I mean, because I moved here in 2014.
Okay, yeah.
So, but truth be told, the joke is that I was living in a hibernated state until 2020 when then COVID happened.
And then you're like really hibernated.
Then I was really hibernated. But so this like 2021, 2022 is like, oh, I'm alive.
Yeah.
Here I am. I live here. But anyway, so, wow, I thought for sure it was around much longer than that.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it sometimes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Every time I go in there, it just feels like it's just always been here.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. And we pride ourselves on that. Like our number one goal, and it was really cute the other day, somebody was asking for help. A new business was talking to me about a business plan and writing their mission statement and that kind of thing. And we were going through it. And I pulled mine up that I hadn't looked at in years. And it was so cool to look back and read what our goals were and our values were for the business, because we've continued to stand by those. Like we want to be a community gathering space for everyone. We want families to feel welcome. We want beer drinkers and non-beer drinkers and elderly people and young people and we want everybody to come in and feel like it's a comfortable, safe space. And I would say we've achieved that, but it's neat to look back and see what our goals were and how we've stuck with it.
Yeah. So tell me more about those like the community thing.
Yeah.
And like how that, because I'm also hearing, I mean, you're starting all of this without much of a community, certainly here.
Right. We did not have ties to this community.
Right. So did you have like backup community like in Harrisonburg, or like was it just the four of you like as your own community?
Pretty much. Yeah. It was mostly just the four of us. Like I said, I had in-laws in town. That was it though. Bonnie and Jeff's family lived in Texas. At the time, my parents are in North Carolina. Like we really did not have a huge support here. We did have friends from the Harrisonburg area. They all showed up for our grand opening and stuff, but it was really just word of mouth and visiting the restaurants and the shops showing up for stuff. So we were still in planning. I think we maybe had a space at this time, but we're nowhere near open. And I was following the news about Hot Blossom Craft Beer Festival that had been going on for maybe 3 or 4 years at that point, a couple years. Reached out via their website to whoever the contact was. At this point, I did not know them. Of course, eventually became close friends with them, but reached out and said, hey, how can I get involved? Like, we want to open up a brewery. There's not one here. You do this cool craft beer festival. And I said, I want to be a sponsor of it. Like, Winchester Brew Works wants to sponsor it, even though we have $0 to our name.
I'll
just throw money at the sponsorship.
Take a loan for
Put my
this.
name somewhere. And so I showed up at their board meeting and just kind of inserted myself into that planning process. And that was shared friend Joel was on that board and our group, and a lot of great people, and just kind of threw myself into that. And I think that helped get the word out about us a lot. And I don't know, it was just wonderful to see that we had people show up kind of quietly at our soft open, and it's just grown and grown.
Wow. Yeah, it's a pretty great town for things like that. It's a really supportive town.
It is. And I've made just countless connections that I would have never made without the brewery. And I don't ever see myself leaving Winchester. And before that, when we were in Harrisonburg, it just felt really transient. I guess JMU is there. And so, people are kind of coming and going. And I just didn't find a place for myself. I made some friends, but most of them were because they worked with my husband. And it was hard
So that's what I was actually curious about.
Yeah.
So was your desire for Brewworks to be a community gathering place also partly for yourself?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I am very social. And I had such a large friend group when I lived in North Carolina, but they're people I had grown up with or gone to college with and had been friends with for so many years. And it was kind of a lonely vibe to move to Harrisonburg. And at the time I wasn't working for a little while. So I was just in this house alone. My husband's at work all day or working shift even at the time. So I'm just by myself all the time and just had a really hard time finding my place there. So I'm sure part of it was that just we want a place where we can hang out. But the people that I am friends with now in Winchester, I did not know before the brewery opened. I can't, other than my business partners, I don't think there's anybody else in this town that I knew or was friends with until they started coming into the brewery.
Right.
And now I have this huge community. And
yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah. Adult friends are fun. Finding friends as an adult, you think I hear people talk about how hard it is. And I know that it is because you have to be so vulnerable and so hard to start over, but I've made so many friends as an adult in this town. And
so how do you do that? Cause you're right. Making friends as an adult does have that sort of stigma, if you will, of being really hard. And I think it can be really hard. So I'm just curious, what's that? How does that work? How did that work for you?
Man, I don't know. I think it was just really natural. When I think about some of the people that I became close to early on, literally it was because we hosted a trivia event at the brewery and they came and had fun and introduced themselves to me. And I was like, oh, you seem nice. And then, they came in the next week at trivia and I got to talk to them again. And the next time it's, hey, you want to go get lunch together, a cup of coffee. And it just was such a natural way to go about it. But then even since then, some of the people you've had on your podcast, Mandy and people like that, I couldn't even tell you how I got to know these people. I know it's through the brewery. I know there's some connection there, but it's pretty wild.
Yeah, but I love that you wanted that space to be a place for people to come in and gather. Cause you do all kinds of stuff in there. That other people are hosting too.
Right. So we work with a lot of nonprofits in the area to do fundraisers for them where, they can host the event at our establishment. We can make a donation to them, but the goal is that they can spread their mission to people. They can do fundraising and stuff, and just have a large gathering space for it. Most nonprofits either don't have an office, they don't have space to have 100 people show up.
Right.
So we worked with a ton of nonprofits in the area. Underserved populations, I think. So it's definitely was our value that we started out with, and we've been able to maintain that. And part of that is because we have just such a large space, and our staff is fantastic and so caring, and they've been with me for years and years and years. And
Aw,
yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so, and the other part I heard in there was kid friendly. Well, actually age friendly, like all ages
absolutely.
friendly. So what does that look like?
So it looks
Because
loud.
it's a brewery. Yeah,
Sometimes it's loud. Sometimes I have to be like, all right, moms, dads, let's get these kids to settle. We have just gradually made sure that everybody feels safe. And like we put up a changing table in the bathroom, and because we have all kind of gender neutral bathrooms, and we put a changing table in one because we visited other breweries. They don't have changing tables. And it's like, okay, well, that's automatically making some people feel alienated. And we have low seats because a lot of breweries have only high tops and stuff like that where kids can't get up and down. So we try to make some like subtle things like that. And as we've grown, we put in a kids corner where we've got games and toys and books and a kids table and all that kind of stuff, TV, gaming area. So, we've just, I guess, because as we've gotten older, our friends that started coming, 10 years ago have also gotten older. They've all had kids. And
yeah, I think it's really great.
It's tricky because we do, while we don't want to alienate anyone, sometimes if you show up and you're a 30-year-old trying to escape your life and you want a beer at the bar and you got a kid screaming in the corner, well, that's not great.
Right.
So there's a balancing act there.
Right.
But we've never considered not continuing to be all ages, we talked years ago, okay, well, maybe after 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturdays, we should be 21 and up.
Yeah.
No, I want my kids to be there at 7 p.m. sometimes.
Right. Well, I was going to say, you have your own, how many kids do you have?
Two.
Right. So what was that like starting a business and being pregnant and having a kid? Now you're doing you're a mom and business owner woman. How do you balance being new mom? It's not like you know what you're doing as mom yet. It's the first kid. Yeah, infant and brewery business startup period.
Yeah. It was so terrifying and overwhelming. I will say my business partners are great. Bonnie was not working at the time. She had left her engineering job to open the brewery, and she really had to kind of go whole hog into it on her own because not only did I have a baby. So he was born in February, right before we opened. So we had that kind of month where we were doing all those last minute things. I had almost died during childbirth, which is a story for a different podcast.
What? Okay. No, hold on. Time out. Wait, what? Explain.
Yeah. So, I went into labor 7 weeks early. So the baby was actually due. I'm saying the baby, his name's Oliver. He's 9.
Right.
He was due sometime in early April, and he showed up February 17th. So he was pretty early, and I had just been in so much pain this one day on February 17th. I was just so uncomfortable, and I was like, I'm pregnant. Everything's uncomfortable. I'll just eat some more Tums. This is how sure I was that I was not in labor. So I'm having all the stomach pain and whatever, and my husband's not home. He's finishing up work, and I call my midwife, I guess, on call. And she was like, well, you could, drink some water and try to shift positions and whatever. Cause I was like, I'm still feeling a move. There's a baby moving around.
Right.
So I know that he's probably fine.
Right.
I just can't bend or breathe. Everything I do is really uncomfortable. And so she said, you can hang out for another hour or two. And then she said, but you sound like you're in pain. Cause I'm sharp breaths and breathing through it, struggling. And she said, you can, come on into labor and delivery if you just want to get checked out. And I was like, that sounds like a good option. And, so that is what we did. And I was so sure that I was just had heartburn, a stomach bug, that I brought nothing with me. It's February. It is winter. I have to make Arthur put on these knockoff Kirkland brand Ugg boots on my legs. So I can't bend over. So he puts my boots on, and I was like, let's get in the car. I gotta go. And he was like, don't you want a coat? It's February. I was like, no, I don't want anything. Just send me in. So we drive out there. He pulls up to the front, and they're waiting on me. They know I'm coming. They've got a wheelchair out there. And I don't know. because I was like delirious with pain. I took my phone, I looked at it, and I threw it in the back seat of my car. Why?
You're like, I
don't need this. Arthur will have a phone. So he leaves to go park, and they wheel me up, and he comes in. And when they tell me, within 30 minutes, like, you're full blown labor, ma'am, you'll be having a baby soon. I was like, oh no, I have to call my mom and dad and tell them, like, hey, I'm about to have a baby. You want to come up here for this? I have no phone. I have no way to contact I don't know anybody's phone number.
Right. Yeah.
I did know my mom's phone number. Like, I had her number memorized. So I was able to, or maybe Arthur, I guess, had it in his phone. So he calls my mom, and, I don't know when I even got a phone. Like, he never left my side. I think the phone stayed in the car till
I love this.
the next day.
I just love the flinging of the phone.
I did. I will not forget. Like, I just hurled it in the back seat. I'm still not sure why. I don't know if I brought my purse. Like, I was in pure denial that anything. And then I didn't leave the hospital for like 2 weeks.
It just sounds like your body was like, we're motoring on, lady.
We got to get through this.
We're just going to go in here and like throw the phone and like, it just feels like it took over.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. I wrote it all down once because I was like, I'm going to want to know start to finish how this day went sometime. And I'm going to forget the details. So like, I have a journal of everything.
Oh, it's interesting. That's interesting. I've done that with a few key things.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to write this down in real time because my memory of it will shift the more distance I get from it. And it's a big deal what's happening.
And there's so many little bits, just like the phone thing, And then my parents said, I guess I had called them, and they were like, uh-oh, the baby's coming. And they had just sat down to dinner. They called my sister, who lived in town at the time, and said, can you come over and wrap the dinner dishes and put them in the fridge? We're driving to Virginia. And she was like, I guess. What a weird night. And of course he was in the NICU, and so I wasn't able to even be with the baby. And then,
what's that like? Was that hard? Or was it like,
I was in so much pain.
Right.
And looking back, I was also like kind of in and out of consciousness.
Right. So
now that I think about how that all went.
Right.
But they were really tending to the baby and not really to me, because they were like, you're fine. You just had a baby. Like, but I wasn't hooked up to anything monitoring me at that point because they didn't think anything was wrong. And, at some point they were trying to decide, because Harrisonburg is a small hospital. They don't have a great, robust NICU program. So we're trying to decide if they would have to flight the baby to UVA or, Winchester Medical Center. Is that what the hospital is?
Yeah.
Cause they have a better NICU. So they said, you can go with him if you can go pee in the bathroom. Like, that's your only thing you have to do. And I was like, cool. I guarantee I can pee in a bathroom. And so I tell the nurse, I'm like, let's go to the restroom. And she helps me get in. It's me and one nurse. I don't know where my husband is. And she was like, are you still feeling good? Are you dizzy? I was like, no, I feel fine. I sit down. I said, now I'm dizzy. And then I remember nothing else. And when I woke up, there were like 8 nurses in this tiny hospital bathroom. There had been one other, they're giving me smelling salts to wake up, which is atrocious. And as I'm like coming to from the smelling salts, I look to my side, and one of the nurses is slowly passing out. She's sliding down the floor because the smelling salts put her under.
Oh God.
Woke me up, put her down.
Oh God.
So I passed out, and they're like, oh, you just went through a trauma. You're fine. I was like, I don't know. This feels not fine. And finally, the surgeon or the midwife, I guess, who had delivered my son came in, and my husband was like, something is not like, I just watched her deliver a baby unmedicated, and she was fine. She is not fine now. Like, something is up. And finally my midwife looked at the nurses, and she was like, oh guys, something terrible is happening. So they finally, got me down for, an x-ray, and my entire abdomen was full of blood. Question mark where it was coming from. So they got me down to surgery.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I was hemorrhaging internally, so nobody knew. And that was that. And they had to sew me up real good. And then, 3.5 years later, I was like, let's do it again. Let's risk it all again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was like compounded.
Right. Like, but did they fly your son to?
They didn't. He ended up, because I think he was big for his gestation or whatever.
Right.
He actually was breathing pretty well on his own. I think they had oxygen on him. I think their big concern was they couldn't do feeding tubes at this hospital in Harrisonburg. So if he wasn't able to, like, that suck swallow thing that they have to be able to do if he hadn't learned that like in utero yet or whatever, they would need to flight him somewhere. But he was in they called it the sick baby unit because they don't have a true NICU. And he was in there. Aww. I think he was in there for like a week and a half or something. I was in there at least as long as he was because
well,
I was
you almost died.
I got many transfusions.
Well, I'm really glad that you were like, yeah, no, like
it was, I think because the nurses are so used to seeing women post childbirth that are uncomfortable or like they are in pain or they are bleeding or, whatever, but it usually isn't a big deal that they were just kind of like, all right, you're being dramatic. But a lot of them hadn't seen me in childbirth, which I did not scream during. I was unmedicated. Like I really.
How the hell did you do that?
There's a whole lot to this story, but I don't know. When I got to the hospital that evening, I was already 6.5 centimeters. Like I didn't know I was in labor at all. So I was like, because they were like, you're gonna have a baby tonight, and I said, nah, you can give me something to stop this. Right. They're like, oh, sweet baby. No, we cannot.
No, this is happening.
But because like I said, when I got there, they were like, you're not in labor because they were checking for contractions with that whatever thing they put on they were like, you're not having contractions. I never had a contraction. And part of that is because I was already hemorrhaging. So it was like changing the way my body responded. So there's kind of a what came first. Did I go into labor or did I start hemorrhaging?
And that pushed you into labor.
Right. So kind of unknown, I think, like the order of operations here. But because my abdomen was full of blood at that point, and the baby pushing like on my uterus was keeping it from being worse.
Wow.
Somehow I'd never had contractions, and it's freaking wild because with my second, I had like a scheduled C-section. So I've never had like, I don't know, a normal childbirth experience. I don't think anybody does, but I've never experienced actual contractions. And so they're like, oh, you push with each contraction. And I was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I hear you.
I hear the words you're saying, but they mean nothing to me.
And so what I would do is they were like, it's time to push, whatever. And I would just count in my head what seemed like an appropriate amount of time to push again.
Like, I'm going to fake a contraction symptom situation.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know what else to do here.
I was like, I think people will usually have a contraction like every 30 seconds. Like, I'll just hang tight for 30 seconds and then I'll try to push again.
Right.
And they were like, no, you have to really like bear down with each contraction. I was like, again, I am just uncomfortable. Like everything's uncomfortable. And it's just such a surreal moment because you hear about other people's birth stories. And I'm like, cool. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know about anything about these contractions y'all are speaking about.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
It was wild. And then,
I'm just thinking like, even the fact that you were like, I'm in this pain, this doesn't seem right. I'm going to keep insisting on getting in there.
We did. And I kept asking and honestly, because I hadn't had an epidural, of course, like my legs worked and I could feel everything. And I don't know how much TMI you want on this podcast.
We can go TMI all the way.
Great. So
because this is for, like someone out there needs to hear this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be reminded, this is a common theme, like y'all advocate and trust your gut. And, if you can't have someone with you, like your husband who can advocate for you, whatever, like just if it doesn't feel right to you, just keep insisting.
Get a doula.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done differently, I think there. But after you have like a normal-ish vaginal delivery I guess with a vaginal, they come and they push on your stomach afterwards to make sure that you're not like having a lot of blood stay inside of you. Like they push on your stomach and they do it like every hour or two, whatever. And they would come in and do that. And I would scream. I mean, I would scream and they would go, it's just some pressure. And I'm like, I don't think you understand how agonizing, like, because the pain, it wasn't just in my abdomen, it was in my chest, in my shoulder blades, and like my whole body. If I took a deep breath, if I shifted positions, like everything just felt like the inside of my body was on fire. I mean, it was excruciating, and it was way worse after he was born than it was before. And I think that's because finally the blood was like, and we're just going to invade every part of your body now.
Right.
And, man, it sucked. And then, finally, that was like, after so many times that happening, I almost kicked a nurse in the face because my body's response was like, get the fuck off of me. Like, stop pushing on my stomach.
Right.
And my body was like, get away. And that was,
body, no. I mean, the body, like I was having this conversation recently with someone about something else, but I was like, my body, like now that I finally, after many decades of not being connected to it, but my body, like if I'm around certain people, let's say, it will tell me, like I'll feel it in my, like basically in my bones, or in some other way, like if this is a safe or not safe situation for me, not because maybe there's anything wrong with that person necessarily, but just for me, like my body's like, nope.
Get out of this.
In my brain, I can make this all okay, or figure that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But my body, like, and I just never used to pay attention to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It was really eye-opening for me. And, you hear about how important it is to advocate for yourself and blah, blah, blah. But I had never had a medical episode. I was, 28 or 30, whatever I was at the time. And I was not expecting anything to go wrong other than I was having a preterm labor, and they were very confident that that was fine. And I was just so focused on like, let's have a safe, healthy baby. And I wasn't really thinking about myself, and I'd never had one before. So like, I don't know, maybe it does hurt like this. I don't think it should, but maybe. But finally, after my husband, despite my pleas of please leave me alone, this isn't right. I think having my husband, even then they were kind of like, all right.
Right.
Sure, Dad.
Right.
Take a nap. Having the midwife come in and finally kind of be like, guys, I just watched her have a baby.
Right. Like, well, I think that's a good point. These are, we're walking into a hospital. These people don't know us, right? So they don't know our pain tolerances or whatever you want to call it, where we're coming from kind of thing. So like, they see all kinds of people all the time, but they don't, but to your point, she saw you give birth and was like, this is not a overreactive pain woman.
And the staff that I had that were doing the like pushing on the belly and stuff, they weren't the same nurses that had been in there during the delivery. So they didn't see any of that leading up. So yeah, it was great. So I had, I think I had surgery late at night because we had to wait on an anesthesiologist, and it took him a long time to get there. So we had surgery at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then was in there for a couple of hours and literally stapled me back up, which is not the scar you want.
No.
It's like a vertical incision and 22 staples like holding me together. Yep.
Wait, like where on your, like,
it started, so they didn't know where I was bleeding from, right? So they were like, it could be a laceration to her liver, her kidney. Like, we don't know where it's coming from. So they drew a Sharpie marker line from like basically my pubic area up to right below my navel. And that was their cut line. So they were going to start low and see if the bleeding was low and like whatever body parts down low. And then if it wasn't, go higher. And it was my uterus. They found what they called a hole punch.
A hole punch.
So it was just like a hole in my uterus. So it wasn't even that big. I mean, it could have been much worse because I know I've heard so many horror stories of women's entire uterus just tearing open.
Whoa.
And that will kill you and a baby, but this was like, I guess, a slower bleed. I'm not sure, but so they described it as like a hole punch. And so they sewed my uterus up and then stapled me shut. And then I stayed in the hospital for a long time. And
so the staples were on the outside where they had cut up.
I think they glued me on the inside, something dissolving or dissolving stitches or something. I don't know.
I don't understand any of that.
I don't either. And I didn't want to. I was like, this is enough.
Right.
Just thank you for saving my life. I'd like to not know more.
I don't want any of the details.
And then because like I just had a baby, like my stomach is big, like soft and big. And so I can't even see the injury, like the wound. And so my husband was like, you're going to want to see this when you like feel better. So he took a picture of the staples and it is upsetting.
You're like, that is gnar, dude.
I wish I didn't have that photo.
Right.
But I am kind of a badass. So
yeah. I mean, I have to say, like, I mean, I'm hearing you're taking this all really in stride. Even today.
Maybe that's my mental health is broken. I go, maybe. But I don't know.
Is that just
that's
your
just
vibes?
me. Yeah.
Like you're just like, because I mean, well, that's great.
It is what it is. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Because I know that was not my experience in life.
Yeah. No,
Too many thoughts.
So I think I am just maybe sometimes too laid back about it. Cause I'm like, I don't know. They'll fix it. It's probably fine.
It's fine. Whatever. Right.
So,
but I mean, it also sounds to me like it probably was helpful to this whole, like you weren't getting like worked up.
Yeah,
either.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I'm sure that helped your body's system in some way kind of like remain in some sort of state.
I think you're probably right. And I mean,
I'm seeing it as a positive.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
probably. Like my anxiety wasn't through the roof.
I mean, that's a pretty traumatic, like, I mean, major big deal. Like, I mean, so what was it like then to like decide to have a second child? I mean, was it hard or?
Yeah. I mean, I had appointments, like we were kind of on the fence about whether or not to have a second, because truth be told, with our first, it took 2 full years to get pregnant, and there were some interventions and stuff. Like we didn't have to go through IVF, but I said, if we don't get pregnant soon, I don't want to deal with it. Like, I think I was now 35. So I'm like advanced maternal age. And I said, I don't want to go through any great pains to get pregnant again. So we'll try briefly. And, of course, I'd had appointments with doctors, but at this time I'm living in Winchester. So I'm no longer with my people that know me in Harrisonburg. I've moved up here. They have my records, but, had lots of appointments to make sure everybody thought it was safe, and they did, ish.
Right. They're like, well,
I guess. And, I got pregnant like immediately, which was shocking.
Wow.
I mean, really, I think Arthur and I were like, do you want to have a baby? Sure. And then I got pregnant.
Wow. Wow.
Which is wild because it took so long the first time. But, then I needed to tell my parents, who almost watched me die, right? Like, I'm their baby, and they are like not ready to go through this again. And so that I didn't want to have to tell them. So I made my 3-year-old tell them that he was going to be a big brother. So he's in the bathtub, and I FaceTimed my parents, and I was like, had Oliver rehearse that I'm going to be a big brother. And he said it, and my mom made him repeat it a couple of times, and then went, "Oh my God." And she hung up the phone.
She's like, I gotta go.
She's like, I can't, this is too much.
I can't do this right now.
Yep.
Wow.
And she came around.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds, it's yeah.
Yeah, it was scary.
I mean, I've never had kids, and we've, conversation on several episodes. Like I have no physical connection point to being pregnant, giving birth, complicated or not complicated.
Right.
So I'm always like double fascinated, because I'm like, wow, like after going through that, like that's pretty courageous.
Probably because of what we were just talking about, because I'm so like, I don't know.
No,
it'll probably be fine. Let's just try again. You only nearly died once. I'm sure it'll be fine a second time. And it was. The second time was totally fine. But I was seeing lots of specialists. I mean, I was at the doctor both because of the complications and because of the preterm labor. I was getting progesterone shots and stuff every week. I was in the doctor's office every single week, and seeing specialists as well.
Right.
And I was advanced maternal age. So
right. Yeah. God, what's this fun? That's like advanced maternal age. Yeah.
Gross. Leave me alone.
Just say old.
Just
no,
say, they basically did. Yeah.
They're like, listen, you're
are
old.
you sure? Your body's drying up. You sure you want to do this again? Yeah. Let's try.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. Well, that was a bit of a detour.
Yeah.
But
so
also
full
a good,
circle.
But it was a good detour, because I'm like, we cannot just skip over this. This was important to me. Seems important to me. So with all that in the backdrop, now you're opening the brewery opens, and you've got your baby, who's
tiny human,
who's tiny, because early, and you've just put together that, I could have died.
Yeah. I think maybe part of the reason why it was so kind of easy for me to just move forward was because we had this huge thing on the horizon that was taking up so much of my bandwidth too, because it was such a distraction in a good way, probably. So I'm sitting in a hospital bed recovering, and Bonnie comes, and we talked for hours naming beers and like making last minute to-do lists, like all the things. And, you know, she had to do a whole lot, but to be fair, even if I hadn't had a baby early, I wasn't doing much. Like I was giant and pregnant and I couldn't be around certain smells and chemicals and stuff like that. So I was half useless anyway. And then, Oliver came with me to our soft open 1 month later. My mother-in-law came to keep him I didn't want him to get sick. So we're like, you keep him in the back area, in the office and keep him away from people. And we have pictures of him, like, you know, the tiniest little human, kind of passing around with some of our closer friends that came. And man, it was a lot to do all at once, but
yeah, no, I mean, sometimes life is like that, right? Just all,
and then it's done. We did it all.
Yeah, I was like, we just get it all out of the way all at the same time.
We're just done.
Next. So, okay. So I just have one more question in terms of like being a woman in the brewery world. I mean, I don't have any idea of sense of like, is that uncommon? Is it not that uncommon? Like I don't know. I have no idea.
It is more common now than when we started. So, you know, 12 years ago when we were in planning, there were not a lot of women in beer at all. So when we were opening, we were the only female owned and female brewed, because Bonnie was our brewer. We were the only female owned and female brewed brewery in the whole state, in the Commonwealth.
Really?
And one of very few in the country. There are a lot of female owners and there are a lot of female brewers, but not
both
everything
at the same time. Wow, that's amazing.
So that was a fun little fact. I don't know if that's still true or not. And of course, since then we've have a male brewer now and stuff. But it was hard. It was really hard to assert ourselves because stereotypically everybody in beer is a white man with a beard,
right?
Wearing a plaid or flannel shirt or whatever, and like tattoos. And it's just opposite of what Bonnie and I look like. And we had gone to a conference while we were in planning in North Carolina. It's called like the Master Brewers Conference. And it's seminars, educational, but also a getting to know you for people in the Mid-Atlantic area. And we had gone to this conference. We show up, there was a brewery that was hosting kind of the open welcome night thing. And we knew no one and we're pretty uncomfortable. And you could tell all these people knew each other. You know, they're kind of they run in the same circles. Nobody talked to us, except for the brewery owner that was hosting us. Like he came and introduced himself and he was very pleasant, but nobody else acknowledged our presence really. Nobody talked to us. We did get asked about 2 times, which brewery did our husbands own?
Wow.
We're like, we're here representing ourselves. And that was pretty eye-opening. We were like, oh, wow, like this is weird. People do not see women in beer that often. So, and, you know, we just kind of found our place, and it's a novelty. Like it was cool to be able to tout that, you know, it made people more interested, I think, in our story and to check out the place. But it was hard. It was there were a lot of uncomfortable sessions. We go to a craft beer conference every year that moves locations. It's in a different state every year, big city. And the first 2 or 3 years that Bonnie and I attended, people on the expo floor barely glanced in our direction. But the years we brought our husbands, they stopped our husbands to talk. And it was wild to see.
Wow.
And then in the last, I would say 5 to 6 years, that's changed a lot. And there are a lot of women at these conferences, and there's a lot of female brewers and, you know, cellar masters and, things like that. And it's really changed. You know, like I said, when we were in planning, we kind of reached out to local breweries and talked to them, and they were very forthcoming and great. And once people found out who we were and that we were indeed opening a brewery, they weren't like shunning us, but nobody assumed, even though we're at this conference, even though we're at a Master Brewers Conference, they assume we're just there to be with our husbands who are the actual brewers or owners. And like, all right.
Got it.
But once they find out, like I didn't feel uncomfortable in settings once people knew who we were and that we had the same intention as they had.
Right.
But it was a little bit harder to like, you know, it's kind of a cliquey universe, I would say. So it was a little bit hard fitting into that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what's your vision for the future of Brew Works?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is as big as we want to go. We could always brew a little bit more at our facility. We could, of course, have more events and things like that. But I don't think we never see ourselves. I say never. We did when we first opened, think about, okay, where's 2.0 going to go and what will that look like? And, yada, yada. And as time has gone on, I can't do it again. It was so much work. It was a lot of stress. It was it was 2 full-time jobs. I mean, it was so much. Plus all of us now have families and children and hobbies and other activities we want to do. And, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we'll grow from this current tasting room that we have.
Right. Right. Well, it's I mean, I love that space.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Same.
It's like very it just feels very like chill vibes.
Yeah.
It's big, just a big open space.
And there's almost
there.
always somebody I mean, we have so many people that come in alone and sit at the bar and they either make a friend or they see somebody they know. And I hope that for a lot of people, we're their third place.
Wait, first place is home.
Second place is work.
Oh, and then third place is where you go
Is
hang
your,
out and have a drink or do whatever.
Your most common other place to spend time and fellowship with friends.
I don't think
and
I've
things
ever
like that.
heard that before. Yeah. That's cool. Thanks. I like that way of saying it.
Yeah. And I think that's what we are to a lot. I mean, there are people we see, even if all they get is one quick beer, they come in 5, 6, 7 days a week just to see people and say, hey.
Right. Aw, that's really cool. So, okay, if you had one piece of, I don't know if it's advice or suggestion or recommendation or whatever for someone who wants to get into brewing or opening a brewery specifically, like what would do this one thing if you're considering a brewery, and do this one thing if you're considering the leap of faith to do any of this at all, period.
I would say if your interest is in beer and your interest is in brewing, saying this 10 years out, I wouldn't do it. I would not. 10 years ago, I don't have any regrets for what we've done. It is a hard business to be successful in. It is a hard business to make money in. And I also, for years, served on the board of directors for the National Brewers Association. And so we spent a lot of time looking at trends, and there's levels of breweries, right? So you've got giant Budweisers and stuff. And then you've got the regional size breweries, which are like the Sierra Nevadas and the Deschutes, the really big breweries, but they're still technically craft. And then you've got the really little guys like us. And there will never be more breweries like the Sierra Nevadas and the New Belgiums and stuff like that. That size brewery is gone. There will never be a new one. Because the market is oversaturated. The bubble burst long ago, and that's where the money is. You've got to be a really big brewery and you have to be pushing out so much beer to be financially successful. You can pay your bills, you can pay your staff, but you're not going to get rich. I didn't start paying myself a single dollar until this year.
Whoa.
Unless I worked the bar, unless I took tips.
Right.
I reinvested everything I could. I mean, even for 2 years, I reinvested tips back into the brewery, every dollar. And I just, in year 9, started to feel comfortable that I could pay myself something. And it's not a living wage.
Right.
So I'm fortunate that my husband
has
faith enough in me to let me do this and supports me in this. I would look at being a wholesaler for craft beer. I would look at a bottle shop. And then homebrew for fun.
Right.
I think you can get a job at a brewery and be a successful brewer, but it is such a labor of love. You have to really, really want it. And there are not a lot of communities that need more breweries right now.
Right. To your point, I mean, we now have 5? You
5
said?
or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm I'm not even a beer drinker myself. So whenever I come in, I have, I think, the cider version.
Yeah, we have a seltzer.
Yeah,
we can do cocktail kind of things.
Because I just never been my thing. But yeah, there's 5 or 6 breweries. And
there's a lot of us.
And we're only 28,000 people.
It's a really small community. I mean, that's within 1 square mile.
Right.
We've got that many.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, you're right. There's a lot.
Many, many communities are oversaturated, and we're seeing in bigger towns like Richmond and Newport News area, they're closing. For years, the numbers were always trending up. You'd have some closures because of poor business ownership or wanting to just retire or whatever. But now we're seeing more breweries close than open. And that's what should happen. The market's leveling. This isn't unexpected. It can't grow forever. But it is hard it is not what I would suggest, especially right now, is opening up a brewery. If you love beer and you love craft, we need more wholesalers that care about the little guy, not the Budweiser kind of guys. We need people that care about and support nano microbreweries, and bottle shops are awesome.
What's a bottle shop?
Like a place that would sell craft beer. So there's a lot of wine stores.
Oh, I see.
And then you've got places that sell like wine and tinctures and some beer. But like, if you're really into craft beer, I mean, we have a couple of places that sell a mix of stuff, but we have, I feel like that's kind of something we lack in a lot of areas, is a really good bottle shop.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Beer store, whatever you want to call it.
Right. So this is great. So, hey, y'all, if you are thinking of brewery, there's other options.
You can stay in beer and love craft, or you could get a job at a brewery.
Right.
I don't know that I would suggest this day and age,
right,
the year of our Lord 2025,
right,
opening up a brewery from scratch.
Just even from just market business conditions, basically. Yeah.
It's so hard. I mean, like, I know there are communities that can support a lot more breweries than a town like Winchester can, but it's tough out there.
Right. But I like this, like, if it's your passion, like really to help grow that, be in the wholesaling or have a bottle shop, like featuring, and like making it a feature.
And there's a lot of big breweries out there, larger breweries in the Northern Virginia area and stuff like that will be hiring for brewers or for tasting room managers or for event planners and stuff like that. But to be a scale like we are,
right,
it's not going to make you money.
Right.
If you don't need money and you just love craft, maybe do it.
Right. Okay. Things to ponder.
Yeah.
And so what's your best advice you would give someone who's on the skinny branches doing a solopreneur of some sort, or like a new business venture?
Yeah. I mean, I would say if you're starting it with another, like we did with another couple, I really, you both got to be pretty laid back, but have attention to detail. And I think we got really lucky with the couple we started a business with, because 10 years down the line, 12 years really of planning and being open, we are the closest friends. Bonnie is my very best friend. And I feel like would be hard if you don't have personalities that mesh really well. But I also, if you have never opened up a business before, I cannot suggest the Small Business Administration in our local area enough at Laurel Ridge. They're so good there. I mean, if you are into beer, they do have a consultant that is from a brewery, used to own a brewery, that has now been like kind of their beverage consultant for the SBA. They're great there. They help with your business plan. It is free. There are so many resources through the Small Business Administration in our local area. I think that's great. And then I just think if you need capital, start with one of the small local banks. The big guys do not care about you. You are not going to make enough money to make them want to give you money. I really liked working with small, can I shout out a brand?
Sure.
So it was Union. At the time it was Atlantic or Union Bank, and then it switched to Atlantic Union. And they were so lovely with us and put so much trust and faith in us and didn't look back. Right. And we paid it off.
Right.
We paid it off, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow. That's incredible.
So we owe nobody any money.
Right.
Which feels pretty good. And then
that must feel good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I think, have a really good idea and have a really good business plan. Like, think about it. Think about all the things that could go wrong and all the things that can go right. Interview and talk to people in that field and get to know what they wish they had done differently. I spent a lot of time, especially because I served on the Brewers Association, having people contact me that are starting out with the brewery and needing help and asking questions. And it's really great now to be able to be like, well, I would have done this differently, or you're doing great. I wish we had done that, that kind of thing. So,
wow. So it sounds like this whole idea of community is like multi-leveled.
Oh yeah.
Like you're participating in community beyond even where we are here.
Oh yeah.
Or your space itself, but like being on these different, like giving back basically. I'm hearing service, like returning the favor.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time talking to a female owned brewery that was in the process of opening out in Colorado. Spent a lot of time talking to them about things. A brewery that was opening up in Wilmington, North Carolina. Yeah. Wilmington, North Carolina. They were opening, spent a lot of time with them, going over their business plan and stuff. So,
oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
I love this.
If you're already in the throes of opening a brewery, you can talk to me. If you're not sure about it, maybe rethink.
Maybe don't call her, because she'll tell you don't do it.
I loved it. I have loved it. I will continue to love it.
Right.
But it is
No, I think that's
not
fair.
for
Like
everyone.
it's not. And I think, for a long time, I didn't want to do any of this because I was like, but I just want to go to a job and like get a paycheck. And
I
like,
don't want to have to think about
I
stuff.
don't want to be on the
outside.
skinny branches of life. Like I'm good over here in the safety of the trunk. But there came a tipping point where I'm like, I can't not do it.
Yeah.
So, but yes.
Yeah. I literally have no regrets.
Right,
I
right.
truly have loved it. Like we were saying earlier, there's relationships that I can't imagine not having that I only have because of this brewery.
Right.
And it made us fall in love with Winchester, and my kids love the school and they love their friends, and we won't leave.
Right.
Because of this brewery. Whether or not the brewery's around for 20 or 30 years, we will be. So
Right.
I'm not leaving.
Right. We'll still be here. Well, wow. Okay. Well, I'm really glad that you are here with us today after
That I didn't die during childhood.
Yeah, this harrowing childbirth situation.
That was not the topic of the
No, but I mean, that
today.
was, I think thank you for sharing about that, because I think that's, so remember, y'all, advocate, be the squeaky wheel in all the things you do, but
Absolutely.
for sure in medical situations.
Yeah, trust your body. It does not lie to you.
Yes,
Yeah. You're the only person that knows it.
that's right.
I mean, you're the only person that knows when something doesn't feel right, doesn't look right, doesn't seem right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Holly.
Thank
This
you.
has been amazing.
This was fun.
So much fun. Yay.
Yay.
Woo! Okay. Well, I'll see you at Brew Works at some point.
Amazing.
Well, some gatherings, I'm sure, will be happening.
I'm sure.
So, all right. Well,
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Stories That Sparkle, a space I created for women to share in their own voices the intricacies of their stories. And a big thank you to Holly for joining me, for chatting with me about all things brewery and brew works and Winchester Brew Works, and of course, childbirth. And wow, that was a wild story I did not expect to be hearing about, but I'm so grateful to Holly for sharing it with me and with all of us. So thank you, Holly. And if you're in town, please go to Winchester Brew Works and enjoy the vibes. It's really a fun place to be. And if you're enjoying listening to The Stories That Sparkle, please do me one small favor, pass it on to 2 friends, just 2, and encourage them, invite them to listen in as well. And of course, if you have a story you want to share or a topic you would like me to cover in an episode of the podcast, please send me an email to hellarader@substack.com, because together we bring light into dark places.